jilted at the altar, her wedding dress a cruel mockery, her dreams shattered by a text message. I can't do this. Sorry, but I can't imagine a life with someone disabled. Ava Sinclair sat in her wheelchair before the grand altar of St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans, the scent of white roses heavy in the air, now mingling with the bitter taste of abandonment. What if the end of one dream was the brutal, unexpected beginning of another? What if a stranger, a mysterious millionaire with his own hidden pain, was about to walk into her darkest hour and show her that true love sees beyond broken bodies to unbreakable spirits? This story will tear at your heart and then piece it back together. Have you ever faced a moment that felt like the absolute end, only for it to become a new beginning? Share your experiences in the comments below. And before you witness Ava's incredible journey, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell, because this is a story of resilience you won't want to miss. Why? Ava Sinclair whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks as she stared at her phone screen. Why today? The cathedral, adorned with white roses and silk ribbons, was now almost empty. Only she remained, in her wedding dress, seated in her wheelchair before the altar. The message from Julian still glowed on the screen. I can't do this. Sorry, but I can't imagine a life with someone disabled. Ava looked up at the crucifix hanging above the altar. Her fingers tightened around her bridal bouquet until her knuckles turned white. Do you need help, miss? A masculine voice asked from behind her. Ava didn't even turn. Unless you can make me walk again or turn back time before the accident, I don't think you can help me. The man approached slowly until he stood before her. He wore a dark, elegant suit, with a white rose in his buttonhole. His expression was one of genuine concern. I can't do that, he admitted. But perhaps I can offer you a handkerchief. 3 months earlier, Ava had been a respected physical therapist at New Orleans General Hospital. She had met Julian Croft, a corporate lawyer, during a fundraising event. It was an instant connection. Dinners, strolls through the French Quarter, wedding plans. Everything was perfect until that rainy night when a drunk driver crashed into their car. She woke up in the hospital with a spinal cord injury. Temporary paralysis from the waist down, the doctors said. A 50% chance of walking again. Julian had seemed supportive. He was there during the first few weeks, holding her hand while she cried in frustration during therapy. But gradually, the visits became less frequent, the calls shorter. Ava attributed it to the stress of wedding preparations. Did they leave you alone? The man asked, interrupting her thoughts. My family is outside. I asked for a few minutes alone, Ava replied, finally looking at him. Are you the church manager? The man hesitated for a moment before answering. Something like that. My name is Marcus. Well, Marcus, today I've been stood up at the altar. My fiancé decided a woman in a wheelchair isn't worth it. Then he's an idiot, Marcus replied with such naturalness that Ava couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. My cousin Chloe is trying to manage the disaster outside. My parents are arguing about what to do with the guests. And I'm here, talking to a stranger, because I can't face the humiliation of rolling out instead of walking on my father's arm as we had rehearsed. The words poured out like a torrent. Ava didn't understand why she was confessing all this to a stranger. Marcus knelt to be at her eye level, without that air of pity Ava had learned to detect and hate. My sister also uses a wheelchair, he said. An accident 5 years ago. I understand what you're going through. Ava looked at him more attentively. His eyes were kind and direct. And how is she now? She's fine. She runs a non-profit organization. She has a boyfriend who adores her. She competes in para swimming. The chair doesn't define her. How lucky that her boyfriend didn't run away, Ava murmured. Her fiancé did, Marcus corrected. The man she's with now met her afterward. Someone who saw her for who she is, not for what she lost. Ava felt a strange calm. For the first time in months, someone spoke to her without trying to fix her or pity her. I don't know why I'm telling you all this, she said. Sometimes it's easier to talk to strangers, Marcus replied with a smile. They don't have expectations. The church door opened, and Chloe appeared, in her lavender bridesmaid dress. Ava, your parents are worried. Are you okay? Her gaze shifted from Ava to Marcus with curiosity. I'm fine, Chloe. I'm coming, Ava replied. Then she turned to Marcus. Thank you for listening. Marcus took a card from his jacket pocket and placed it in Ava's hand. In case you ever need to talk to someone who doesn't have expectations, he said before walking away towards another side door of the cathedral. As Chloe pushed her chair towards the exit, Ava looked at the card. It had no logo, just a name and a phone number. Marcus Thorne. She didn't imagine that this casual encounter, on the worst day of her life, would change her entire future. A week later, Marcus Thorne stared at his laptop screen without really seeing it. His mind kept returning to the image of the abandoned bride in the cathedral. He hadn't been able to get her out of his head. Marcus had built his tech empire from scratch. The son of a mechanic from rural Louisiana, he had created his first app in college, and now at 34, he was one of the most successful entrepreneurs in America. But fame had its price. Loneliness. The previous week, he had attended the memorial service for Mr. David Sterling, his mentor and first investor. Fate had led him to take a wrong turn in the cathedral and find Ava. A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. Come in, Marcus said. Alex, his cousin and business partner, entered with several documents. Still thinking about the girl from the church? Alex asked with a teasing smile. She has a name. It's Ava. Marcus, you need to focus. The meeting with the German investors is tomorrow. Marcus nodded, but 5 minutes later he found himself distracted again. He made an impulsive decision. I'm going out. Cancel my afternoon appointments. Half an hour later, he was back at St. Louis Cathedral. He didn't expect to find her there again, but something drew him to the place. To his surprise, there she was, sitting in her wheelchair in front of the altar, wearing a simple blue dress. Come to confess? Ava asked when she saw him, a slight smile on her face. Maybe, Marcus replied, approaching. And you? I came to make peace. With God, with myself, with this place. I don't want it to be marked only by a bad memory. Marcus sat in a nearby pew. A couple of minutes of comfortable silence followed. How have you been? He finally asked. Surviving, she answered, looking at him curiously. You know, I looked up your name on the internet after you left. Marcus felt his heart speed up. And what did you find? That you're not exactly a church manager, Ava said with an accusing but gentle tone. You're Marcus Thorne, the founder of Tech Solutions and owner of half a dozen companies. Why didn't you tell me? Marcus sighed. Because for once, someone spoke to me like a normal person, not like the millionaire Marcus Thorne. It was refreshing. Ava processed his words, her initial indignation transforming into understanding. Still, I don't like being lied to. I didn't exactly lie, I just omitted information. He defended himself, then became serious. But you're right. I should have been honest and I'm sorry. Ava nodded, accepting the apology. I have a proposal for you, Marcus said after a moment. My foundation works to help people with disabilities access technology to improve their independence. We're looking for someone with experience in physical therapy to lead a new program. Would you be interested? Are you offering me a job out of pity? Ava asked, tensing up. No, Marcus replied firmly. I'm offering it because you're a physical therapist and now you have a unique perspective that combines professional knowledge and personal experience. That's invaluable to us. Ava looked at him intently, evaluating his sincerity. I'll think about it, she said finally. They exchanged numbers and agreed to talk in the coming days. When Marcus returned to his office, Alex was waiting for him with a worried expression. Where were you? The Germans moved up the video call. Sorry, I was resolving an important matter. More important than a $50 million contract? Marcus didn't answer. That night, while reviewing profiles of possible candidates for the new program, his phone vibrated with a message. I accept the offer. Ava. 2 days later, Olivia, Ava's best friend and a journalist, was interrogating her in a cafe near the foundation. Are you sure about this, Ava? Olivia asked, stirring her coffee. I've researched Marcus Thorne for some articles. He's known for being an extremely demanding boss and has a reputation as a womanizer. He never stays in a relationship for more than a few months. It's a job, Liv. I'm not marrying him, Ava replied, though something inside her stirred at that information. Ava's first day at the foundation was intimidating. The modern glass building in New Orleans' financial district was perfectly adapted for people with reduced mobility, but curious glances followed her everywhere. Marcus greeted her in his office with a warm smile. "Welcome to the team, Ava. I'm sure you'll do great things here." As the weeks passed, Ava immersed herself in her work, developing innovative programs that combined technology with therapy. Her unique perspective impressed even the most skeptical members of the team. Marcus observed her progress with growing admiration. Meanwhile, at the Sinclair home, Ava's parents expressed their concerns. "I don't like this situation," Robert Sinclair said during a family dinner. "That man is too powerful, and she's vulnerable after what happened with Julian." "Ava is an adult, Robert," replied Carol, her mother. "She needs to rebuild her life, and this job seems to make her happy." In Marcus's office, a similar conversation was taking place. "Have you gone mad?" Alex asked. "The investors are talking. They say hiring an abandoned ex-fiancée in a wheelchair is a publicity stunt, or worse, that she's after your money." Marcus slammed his fist on the desk. "Ava is here because of her talent. Anyone who suggests otherwise will answer to me." What Marcus didn't admit, not even to himself, was that his interest in Ava went far beyond professional. There was something about her, a mixture of vulnerability and strength, that attracted him in a way he had never experienced. "I can do it myself," Ava insisted, as she tried to maneuver her chair up the entrance ramp to the foundation. "I know, but it's raining and the floor is slippery," Marcus replied, firmly holding the umbrella over both of them. 3 weeks had passed since Ava started working at the Thorne Foundation. That October morning, rain was falling hard over New Orleans. "You're as stubborn as I am," Ava murmured, finally allowing Marcus to help her. Upon entering the building, several employees greeted them with discreet smiles. Rumors about the special attention the boss gave the new program director were already circulating through the hallways. "We have a meeting at 10 to review the adaptive tablet project," Marcus reminded her before heading to his office. Ava nodded and went to her own space. She liked the independence she felt there. The office had been designed with her needs in mind. An adjustable desk, ample space for the chair, and state-of-the-art assistive technology. Her phone vibrated with a message from Olivia. "Lunch today? I have gossip." Ava smiled and replied affirmatively. Despite her warnings, Olivia had been her biggest support during these weeks of transition. At 2, the friends shared a table at a nearby restaurant. "So," Olivia asked, attacking her salad, "how's it going with the Millionaire?" "It's going well. The work is challenging and Marcus." Ava paused, searching for the right words. "He's a good boss. Demanding but fair." Olivia looked at her suspiciously. "Just a boss? Because, according to my sources, he spends more time in your office than in his." Ava felt herself blush. "We're developing an important program. It's normal for us to work together." "Ava Sinclair, I've known you since elementary school. You can't lie to me." "There's nothing to tell, Liv," Ava insisted, though an image of Marcus smiling crossed her mind. "I'm barely recovering from Julian. Sometimes, the best way to forget someone is to meet someone else," Olivia suggested slyly. That afternoon, during her rehabilitation therapy, Ava found herself putting in more effort than ever. Her physical therapist, Dr. Evans, noticed the change. "What has you so motivated today?" she asked while helping Ava with her exercises. "I want to regain my independence," Ava replied. But in her mind, there was something more. The image of Marcus looking at her with those eyes that never showed pity. Only respect and, perhaps, something more. The weekend, Ava finally accepted Marcus's invitation to meet his sister. Sophia Thorne turned out to be an extraordinary woman. A Paralympic swimming champion and director of her own organization for athletes with disabilities. "My brother doesn't stop talking about you," Sophia commented as they shared coffee in her elegant, adapted apartment. He says you're brilliant. Ava was surprised. I'm just doing my job. Marcus doesn't praise easily, Sophia replied with a knowing smile. Believe me, he appreciates you more than you imagine. When Marcus took her home, there was an awkward moment in the car. Your sister is incredible, Ava said to break the silence. Yes, she is, Marcus nodded. After her accident, we thought she wouldn't get through it, but she turned out to be stronger than all of us. What was it like when her fiancé left her? Ava asked, remembering what Marcus had told her in the cathedral. Marcus gripped the steering wheel. It was devastating for her. They were 3 months from their wedding, just like you. He said he couldn't handle the situation, that it wasn't what he had signed up for. Ava felt a shiver recognizing the similarities. But then, Marcus continued, she met Martin at a swimming event. He saw her first as an athlete, then as a woman. The chair was never an issue. When they arrived at Ava's house, Marcus got out to open her door. Their eyes met for a second longer than necessary. Thank you for today, Ava said softly. Thank you for coming, he replied, helping her with the chair. My sister keeps texting me about how much she liked you. At that moment, the front door opened, and Robert Sinclair appeared with a serious expression. Good evening, he greeted Marcus dryly. Dad, this is Marcus Thorne, my boss, Ava said, noticing the tension. Mr. Sinclair, a pleasure to meet you. Marcus extended his hand, which Robert shook with some reluctance. My daughter talks a lot about you and your foundation, Robert commented. It seems you've given her a great opportunity. On the contrary, she's giving us a great opportunity with her talent, Marcus replied diplomatically. Inside the house, after Marcus had left, Ava's parents were waiting for her in the living room. He's very attentive for just a boss, Carol commented with a suspicious tone. Mom, don't start, Ava sighed. Marcus is a good man who gave me a job opportunity when others closed their doors. I'm worried you're in a vulnerable position, Robert intervened. You've just been through a traumatic experience with Julian. This man is powerful and influential. And that automatically makes him a bad person? Ava retorted. You always taught me not to judge people by their appearance or condition. The same applies to his bank account. In the following weeks, the relationship between Ava and Marcus deepened. Long conversations after office hours, text messages at all hours, and occasional dinners to discuss projects that inevitably drifted into personal topics. At the foundation, Ava's program to bring adaptive technology to public schools was gaining national recognition. Meanwhile, at Tech Solutions' corporate offices, Alex confronted his cousin. The investors are worried, Marcus. They say your interest in this woman is affecting your business judgment. My personal life is not the investor's business, Marcus replied coldly. It is when it affects their investments, Alex insisted. Have you considered that maybe she's using her condition to manipulate you? It would be the perfect sob story. Abandoned bride to millionaire's partner. Marcus stood up from his chair, furious. Never, ever suggest something like that again. Ava is worth more than all those investors combined. It was at that moment that Marcus admitted to himself what was already evident to everyone else. He was falling in love with Ava Sinclair. This is getting intense. Marcus is clearly falling for Ava, but there are so many obstacles, his reputation. Her recent heartbreak, family concerns, and scheming exes. Do you think they can overcome all this? And what about Julian? Will he stay out of the picture? Let us know your predictions in the comments and hit that like button if you're hooked on Ava and Marcus's budding connection. 6 months. 6 months since they left me at the altar, and I still can't get up these damn stairs, Ava murmured, frustrated, observing the 3 steps that separated the entrance of the rehabilitation clinic from the S. I'd walk. Patience, Marcus replied, positioning himself beside her. May I? Ava nodded, allowing Marcus to help her. In recent months, he had become a constant in her therapy sessions. His firm hands on the handles of her chair transmitted a security she had never felt with Julian. Dr. Evans says I'm progressing well, Ava commented as they entered the clinic. The sensitivity in my legs improves every week. You're doing amazing. Marcus responded with that smile that lately made Ava's heart race. The session was intense. Dr. Evans, the physical therapist, worked on strengthening exercises, while Marcus observed from a corner, occasionally sending emails from his phone, but without missing a detail of Ava's progress. We're going to try something new today, Dr. Evans suggested, adjusting the parallel bars. I think you're ready to try supporting your weight. Ava looked at the bars with a mixture of hope and fear. Marcus immediately put his phone away, his full attention focused on her. You can do it, he said simply. With Dr. Evans's help, Ava positioned herself between the bars. Her arms trembled from the effort as she tried to lift herself from the chair. At first, her legs didn't respond, but then, almost imperceptibly, she felt her muscles tense, accepting part of her weight. I'm standing, Ava exclaimed, tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. Marcus approached, his face illuminated by a radiant smile. His eyes met Ava's, sharing a moment of triumph that went beyond words. That night, they celebrated at a small Italian restaurant in New Orleans' historic district. The owner, a friend of Marcus, had ensured a perfectly accessible table with a view of the square. To the first step, Marcus toasted, raising his wine glass. Technically, I didn't take a step, Ava smiled. I just held myself up. Every journey begins with a first act of courage, he replied. And you, Ava Sinclair, are the bravest person I know. Something changed between them that night. The line between friendship and something deeper began to blur. Gazes lasted a second longer. Hands brushed more frequently. Conversations became more personal. At the foundation, Ava's program for rural schools was revolutionizing how children with disabilities accessed education. Marcus had doubled the initial budget, impressed by the results. I've never seen my brother so involved in a project, Sophia commented during one of her now frequent outings with Ava, nor so interested in the person behind the project. Ava blushed. We're just friends and colleagues. Sophia arched an eyebrow. Sure, and I just swim for fun. Family dinners at the Sinclair's home had also become customary. Gradually, Robert and Carol lowered their defenses against Marcus's genuine concern for their daughter. He's not what I expected, Robert admitted one night after Marcus left. I thought he'd be some arrogant rich guy, but he works harder than anyone I know. And look at how he sees her, Carol added with a knowing smile, as if she were a walking, or in this case, rolling miracle. Mom, Ava protested, though she was secretly pleased her parents finally saw what she saw in Marcus. One Friday night, the foundation hosted a charity event. Marcus had insisted Ava accompany him, not as an employee, but as his guest. She wore an elegant emerald green dress, specially designed to be worn in the chair. You look beautiful, Marcus whispered when he picked her up. The gala proceeded with speeches and million-dollar donations. At the end, the orchestra began to play soft music. Would you grant me this dance? Marcus asked, kneeling beside Ava's chair. I can't dance, she replied, pointing out the obvious. Of course you can, he insisted, gently pushing her chair towards the dance floor. Delicately, Marcus began to move the chair to the rhythm of the music, skillfully twirling among the other couples. Ava felt like she was floating, her initial embarrassment transforming into pure joy. The stairs no longer mattered. Only the two of them existed, moving as one under the dim lights. When the music ended, their faces were so close Ava could feel Marcus's breath. For an instant, it seemed he was going to kiss her, but the insistent ringing of a phone shattered the moment. I'm sorry, Marcus murmured, taking out his phone. It's Alex, he says it's urgent. Ava nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. The magical moment had vanished. 2 days later, Marcus decided it was time to clarify his feelings. He invited Ava to dinner at his penthouse overlooking the city. He had planned every detail. Her favorite dish, flowers, even a special ramp so she could easily access the terrace. While waiting for her arrival, he mentally rehearsed what he would say. He didn't want to scare her, but he also couldn't keep pretending what he felt was just friendship. The doorbell rang punctually at 8. Marcus opened the door with a smile that froze instantly. Ava was there, but her face showed an unusual pallor, and her eyes looked like she had been crying. "What's wrong?" he asked, alarmed. "Julian came to see me today," Ava replied, her voice trembling. "He says he made the worst mistake of his life leaving me. He wants another chance." Marcus felt as if all the air had been sucked out of his lungs. "And what did you tell him?" Ava looked away. "I told him I needed time to think. A lot has happened these months, and I'm confused." Marcus nodded slowly, maintaining a neutral expression despite the turmoil inside him. "Do you still want to have dinner?" he asked, trying to make his voice sound normal. "Honestly, I don't have much appetite," Ava confessed. "I think I should go home." "I understand," Marcus replied, though each word pained him. "Do you want me to take you?" "No, my father is waiting downstairs. I just wanted to tell you personally." Marcus nodded again, unable to find the right words. When Ava left, he stared at the closed door, the perfect dinner cooling on the table, and the unsaid words weighing heavily on his heart. What Marcus didn't know was that as Ava went down in the elevator, her thoughts were torn between the past Julian represented and the future she was just beginning to glimpse with Marcus. "I can't believe you're considering going back to him," Olivia exclaimed, hitting the cafe table with her fist. "Did you forget what he did to you?" Ava sighed, distractedly running her finger along the rim of her cup. She had been avoiding both Julian and Marcus for a week, immersing herself in work until late at night. "I didn't say I'd go back to him, Liv. I just said he showed up and confused me." "And what about Marcus? The man who has been with you at every therapy session, who gave you a job opportunity, and who is clearly in love with you?" Ava looked up, surprised. "He's not in love with me." Olivia rolled her eyes. "Please, Ava. Everyone sees it but you." Ava's phone vibrated. It was a message from Marcus. "This just arrived for you." Attached was a photo of a small package at the foundation's reception. Despite her emotional turmoil, Ava couldn't help but smile. It was the third one that week. The first had been a book on accessible space design she had casually mentioned. The second, a small plant for her office, with a note that said, "To keep you company on your long nights of work." Marcus respected her space but made sure to let her know he was still there. "See," Olivia pointed out, noticing her smile. "That man knows you. Julian never looked at you like that." Back at the foundation, Ava found the package on her desk. It was a flat, elegantly wrapped box. Inside was a digital frame with changing photos. Ava with children benefiting from the program in her therapy when she managed to stand at the gala dancing with Marcus. The note simply said, "To remind you of everything you've achieved, M." Ava felt a lump in her throat. She picked up the phone to thank him but stopped. What was she doing? On one hand, Julian represented the past, a planned life that had crumbled. On the other, Marcus was something new, unexpected, and terrifying in his intensity. The following days, Ava threw herself into preparations for the Foundation's major annual fundraiser. The event would be crucial for financing the program's expansion to other states. The night before the event, Julian appeared at her house unannounced. "We need to talk," he insisted from the doorway. Ava hesitated but finally let him in. He seemed nervous, very different from the confident lawyer she remembered. "I've been thinking a lot," Julian began, sitting across from her. "I made a terrible mistake. I was scared and acted like a coward." "Why now, Julian? It's been 6 months." Julian looked away. "I saw you in the business magazine with Thorne. You've become so successful, and it seems your condition is improving." Ava felt as if she had been slapped. "So now that I'm improving and have a prestigious job, I'm worthy of your love again?" "It's not that," Julian protested. "It made me realize how foolish I was to let you go." "Do you know what the difference is between you and Marcus?" Ava asked, her voice firm. "He has never seen me as someone broken who needs fixing. He sees me as whole, exactly as I am." The night of the event arrived. The ballroom of New Orleans' most exclusive hotel shimmered with lights and flowers. Ava wore an elegant red dress that contrasted with her silver wheelchair, specially modified for the occasion with details matching her attire. Marcus greeted her at the entrance, handsome in his suit. His eyes lit up when he saw her. "You look spectacular," he said, leaning in to kiss her cheek. "You look good too," she replied, noticing her heart quicken at his closeness. The gala was a success. Donations exceeded expectations, and the video testimonial Ava had prepared with program beneficiaries brought tears and applause. It was time for her speech. Marcus introduced her with words full of professional and personal admiration. When Ava ascended the stage's lift platform, the entire room greeted her with an ovation. "A year ago," Ava began, her voice clear and confident, "I thought my life was over. An accident took away my ability to walk. And then, the person who promised to love me in sickness and in health abandoned me before saying his vows." A respectful silence filled the room. "But I learned that dignity doesn't reside in being able to walk, but in keep moving forward. Courage isn't in not falling, but in getting up every day despite the fear. And true love isn't the one that flees from obstacles, but the one that stays and sees you, truly sees you, with all your imperfections." Her eyes found Marcus's in the crowd. He looked at her with such pride that Ava felt she could float. Thanks to the Thorn Foundation, hundreds of people are rediscovering their worth beyond their physical limitations. Because we all deserve to be seen as whole people, not as problems to be solved. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. Ava returned to her place beside Marcus, who discreetly took her hand under the table and squeezed it affectionately. It was then that Ava saw him, Julian, standing at the back of the room, applauding with the others. How had he gotten in? Her stomach contracted with anxiety. As dinner concluded and people began to disperse, Julian approached their table. "Congratulations on your speech," he said with a smile Ava knew well. "You always had a way with words." Marcus tensed visibly but maintained a neutral expression. "Do we know each other?" he asked with polite coldness. "Julian Croft," he introduced himself, extending his hand. "Ava's ex-fiancé." An uncomfortable silence fell over the table. Ava wished the earth would swallow her. "A pleasure," Marcus replied, his smile not reaching his eyes. "Marcus Thorn." "I know," Julian said, and then, to Ava's horror, he knelt in front of her chair. "Ava, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I love you. I never stopped loving you. Would you give me another chance? Would you marry me?" Again, murmurs spread through the room. Several guests took out their phones to capture the moment. Ava felt the air leave her lungs. She looked at Marcus, whose face maintained a stoic calm, though the tension in his shoulders betrayed him. "Julian, get up, please," Ava requested, mortified. "This is neither the time nor the place." "What does the place matter?" Julian insisted. "I love you, and I want everyone to know." Ava took a deep breath, finding her voice and her strength. "No, Julian, I won't marry you. Not now, not ever." Julian's confident smile vanished. "What? You abandoned me when I needed you most. And now that you see me successful, you want to come back?" Ava shook her head. "True love doesn't work like that." Julian stood up, his face reddening. His eyes shifted to Marcus with a mixture of understanding and spite. "I see. You prefer the Millionaire. Very convenient, Ava." Marcus took a step forward, but Ava stopped him with a gesture. This was her battle. "What I prefer is someone who values me as I am, not as I was or as I could be. Please, leave." Julian looked around, noticing the uncomfortable expressions of the guests. Without another word, he turned and left the ballroom. A tense silence remained after his departure. Marcus knelt beside Ava's chair, not caring who observed them. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice full of concern. Ava nodded, surprised at how light she felt. "Better than ever, actually." Later that night, when the ballroom was almost empty, Ava and Marcus remained seated on the terrace, contemplating the city lights. Thank you for not intervening, Ava said. I needed to face him myself. I know, Marcus replied. You're the strongest woman I know. A comfortable silence settled between them until Ava gathered the courage to speak. I'm scared, Marcus. Of what? He asked, turning to look at her. Of depending on someone again. Of opening my heart and having it shattered. Of not being enough. Marcus took her hand, intertwining his fingers with hers. I'm scared too, he confessed. Scared that you'll only see my money, like everyone else. Scared of not living up to the extraordinary woman you are. Ava smiled through tears. We're a pair of cowards, aren't we? Maybe, Marcus replied. Or maybe we're just two people who have been hurt and are learning to trust again. Slowly, Marcus leaned towards her. This time, there were no interruptions. Their lips met in a soft kiss, full of unsaid but deeply felt promises. When they separated, Ava rested her forehead against his. Can we go slow? She whispered. We have all the time in the world, Marcus replied, sealing the promise with another kiss under the starry New Orleans sky. Try it one more time, Marcus encouraged, firmly holding the parallel bars, while Ava strained to take another step. A year had passed since their first meeting in the cathedral. Ava's progress was remarkable. She could now stand with support and take a few short steps using the bars. One more, she told herself, sweat beading on her forehead as she advanced another small step. Marcus watched her with admiration. In recent months, their relationship had blossomed naturally, built on a foundation of mutual respect and admiration. Family dinners now included both families, with Sophia and Ava's parents forming an unexpected friendship. I'm proud of you, Marcus said when the session ended, helping her back into the chair. I wouldn't have gotten this far without you, Ava replied, squeezing his hand. The Thorn Foundation had expanded considerably under Ava's direction. Her adaptive technology program now operated in 5 states, transforming the lives of hundreds of people with disabilities. That afternoon at Tech Solutions headquarters, Marcus and Alex reviewed quarterly results. The numbers have never been better, admitted Alex, who had finally accepted his cousin's relationship with Ava. You were right about her. I always was, Marcus smiled. I need your help with something important. Marcus took a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. Opening it, he revealed a delicate diamond ring. Are you sure? Alex asked. It's a big step. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, Marcus replied. But I need it to be perfect. A week later, Marcus invited Ava to a special dinner. When he picked her up, he noticed she was carrying a cane instead of using her chair. Dr. Evans says I should practice with the cane as much as possible, Ava explained. Does it bother you if we go slower? I'd go at your pace to the end of the world, he replied, kissing her cheek. Marcus drove in silence, visibly nervous. Is something wrong? Ava asked. Nothing bad, he assured her. It's just that today is a special day. Ava consulted her mental calendar. Is it some anniversary I forgot? In a way, Marcus replied enigmatically. When they turned the corner, Ava immediately recognized the place. St. Louis Cathedral. Her heart leaped. Why are we here? She asked, her voice trembling. Exactly 1 year ago, you were left standing at this very altar, Marcus replied, parking the car. I thought it was time to replace that memory with a better one. With infinite patience, Marcus waited as Ava got out of the car and leaned on her cane. Together, they walked slowly towards the cathedral entrance. The interior was dimly lit with candles. The central aisle, empty and silent, seemed to be waiting for them. I want you to walk with me to the altar, Marcus said, offering her his arm for support. As it should have been that day, Ava felt tears forming in her eyes, but these were tears of joy, not pain like a year ago. With slow but determined steps, they advanced together down the aisle. Upon reaching the altar, where she once wept abandoned, Marcus looked at her with eyes full of emotion. Ava Sinclair, when I found you here a year ago, you seemed lost, but in reality, it was I who found you. You taught me that true strength isn't in not falling, but in getting up every day despite the fear. Ava smiled through her tears. Marcus continued, I have something to confess. I bought the rehabilitation center where you began your recovery, the one that was about to close due to lack of funds. What? Ava looked at him, surprised. I want to transform it into a state-of-the-art center for low-income accident victims, and I want you to run it, if you accept. Marcus took the small box from his pocket and knelt before her. I'm not just asking you to be my wife, Ava. I'm asking you to be my partner in everything, in life, in business, in our mission to help others like you. Would you do me the extraordinary honor of marrying me? Ava looked at the ring, then at Marcus, and finally at the altar where her world once collapsed. Yes, she replied with a firm voice. Yes to everything. Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger and stood up to kiss her. At that moment, as if it were a sign, the side doors opened, and their families appeared. Ava's parents, Sophia with her boyfriend, Alex, Olivia, and their closest friends. Were you all in on this? Ava asked, laughing through her tears. Everyone, Marcus confirmed. It took us weeks to plan. Robert Sinclair approached his daughter with tears in his eyes. I'm so proud of you, my girl. Carol hugged Marcus. Welcome officially to the family. 2 months later, in an intimate ceremony in the cathedral gardens, Ava and Marcus were married, surrounded by their loved ones. Ava had insisted on celebrating the wedding in the garden, instead of inside the temple, a symbol of her decision to forge a new path rather than trying to rewrite the past. Ready? Robert asked, waiting with her at the garden entrance. More than ever, Ava replied, leaning lightly on her cane. The music began to play. The guests stood, turning expectantly towards the bride. Marcus waited by the improvised altar, his eyes shining with emotion. Ava made a decision in that moment. With a look towards her father, she released his arm. I can do this alone, she said with a serene smile. Robert looked at her with pride and nodded, stepping back. With slow but sure steps, Ava walked by herself towards Marcus, using only her cane for support. Each step was a victory, a testament to her strength and determination. When she finally reached Marcus, her future husband looked at her as if she were the eighth wonder of the world. I love you, he whispered, taking her hands. And I you, Ava replied. For all that you are and for helping me remember who I am. Under the blue New Orleans sky, surrounded by flowers and the love of their families, Ava and Marcus began their life together. Not as two incomplete people seeking to be repaired, but as two whole beings who had chosen to share their strength. Can you believe it's already been 3 years since we got married in that garden? Ava asked, as Marcus pushed her wheelchair through the corridors of the newly renovated New Steps Rehabilitation Center. Time flies when you're changing lives, Marcus replied, stopping in front of the new hydrotherapy area, where several patients worked with physical therapists in the heated pool. Ava was using the chair that day because she had had a particularly intense therapy session that morning. Although she could walk short distances with a cane, for long days like the center's inauguration, the chair gave her more endurance. Ready to cut the ribbon? Marcus asked, leaning in to kiss her cheek. Almost, Ava replied. I just want to see the children's therapy room one more time. Marcus nodded, well aware of his wife's passion for details. In the 3 years since their wedding, they had completely transformed the old, dilapidated center where Ava began her recovery. It was now a modern complex with cutting-edge technology, accessible to low-income families thanks to a scholarship system established by the Thorne Sinclair Foundation. The expansion of their programs had crossed borders. What began in New Orleans now had a presence in Dallas, Atlanta, Miami, and soon in San Juan. Ava traveled frequently, always with Marcus by her side, sharing her experience and knowledge with international organizations. Director Sinclair, Mr. Peterson, the center's administrator, interrupted them. The guests are arriving for the inauguration ceremony. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. We're on our way, Ava replied with a professional smile. In the central courtyard, decorated with flowers and ribbons, officials, donors, medical staff, and most importantly for Ava, several families benefiting from the program, awaited. Camera flashes captured every moment as Marcus and Ava greeted the guests. During the ceremony, seated in the front row were their parents, now retired but actively involved as volunteers at the foundation. Sophia Thorne, Marcus's sister, now directed the center's Paralympic sports program. Alex, now a staunch advocate for the cause, managed the foundation's finances. When Ava prepared to give her speech, she decided to stand. With the help of her cane and Marcus's arm, she advanced to the podium. "For years ago," she began, "I thought my life had ended when an accident temporarily left me in a wheelchair, and my fiancé abandoned me on our wedding day." She paused, looking at Marcus with love. "But, as the saying goes, when one door closes, another opens. Today, we celebrate not just the inauguration of the center, but the power of a second chance. Every person here has a story of overcoming, a daily battle against limitations imposed by society or by their own bodies." The salon doors opened suddenly, and everyone turned. Ava was surprised to see Chloe, her cousin, entering hurriedly with an apologetic expression. "Sorry for the interruption," Chloe whispered upon reaching Ava, "but I have news that couldn't wait." "What's wrong?" Marcus asked, concerned. "I just saw Julian," Chloe said with an excited smile. "He's engaged. He's getting married next month to a doctor he met at the hospital where he works now." Ava felt a wave of relief and genuine happiness. "That's wonderful," she replied sincerely. "I hope they'll be very happy." After the ceremony, as guests enjoyed cocktails, Marcus found Ava contemplating the cathedral visible in the distance from the center's terrace. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, hugging her from behind. "About how much everything has changed in 4 years. About how grateful I am for that terrible day that led me to you." Marcus smiled. "Want to take a walk? There's a special place I'd like to visit." Half an hour later, they were in the cathedral garden, exactly where they had exchanged their vows 3 years prior. The flowers had changed, but the peace of the place remained the same. "I have something to tell you," Ava murmured, sitting on a bench. "Something I've been saving until I was completely sure." Marcus looked at her curiously. "I'm pregnant," Ava said, tears of joy in her eyes. 12 weeks. The doctors say everything is fine, despite their initial concerns about my ability to conceive after the accident." Marcus remained motionless for a second, processing the news. Then, with a shout of joy, he gently lifted her in an embrace. "We're going to be parents," he exclaimed, kissing her tenderly. "It's a miracle, another miracle on our list," Ava replied. "It seems miracles have been following us since that day." As the sun began to set, painting the New Orleans sky with golden and reddish hues, Ava and Marcus remained seated in that garden, talking about plans for the future, baby names, and the new challenges they would face together. When the cathedral lights came on in the growing darkness, they decided to enter for a moment. Ava waited for Marcus in the same spot where 4 years ago she had wept, abandoned. This time, when she saw him approach with his warm smile, there were no tears of pain, only gratitude. Marcus extended his hand, and Ava stood up without help to take it. "I love you, Ava Thorne Sinclair," he said, kissing her forehead. "And I you, Marcus Thorne Sinclair," she replied, "for rescuing me when I didn't know I needed to be rescued." "No," he corrected gently, "for being strong enough to rescue yourself and allowing me to walk beside you." Hand in hand, they left the cathedral towards the illuminated square, where life continued its course, transforming endings into new beginnings, and proving that sometimes what seems like a tragedy is just the prelude to a more beautiful story. And so, a journey that began in the depths of despair at a cold altar blossomed into a testament to unwavering love and the true meaning of partnership. Ava and Marcus showed us that scars, visible or not, don't define our capacity for happiness, and that the right person will not only see our worth but help us rebuild our world, stronger and more beautiful than before. What do you think is the true definition of strength in a relationship? Is it never falling or always rising together? Share your heartfelt thoughts in the comments below. If this story of hope, healing, and a love that defied all odds touched your soul. Please give this video a resounding like, subscribe for more stories that lift the spirit, and share it with anyone who needs a reminder that even after the darkest storm, the sun can shine again, brighter than ever. Because true love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who helps you see the perfection in your imperfect journey.